Jeff Shim. Just a quick note, this recording, this session will be recorded so that for those people who cannot attend the event. So hopefully that poses any problem for you. Okay. Right. Bridget, can you show the slides? Okay, welcome to the Why Attend International Data Week 2022 webinar. We hope this webinar will provide you with enough information to successfully register for and attend International Data Week events, either in person or virtually. Please hold any questions until the end of the session, as we will set aside time to answer those questions. Now, this is where each host will introduce themselves and their role in each organization. So looks like I'll go first. My name is Won-sik Jeff Shim. I'm a professor with Sungkyunkwan University in Seoul, Korea. And I represent SKKU, one of the local organizers for IDW 2022. Meredith?
Yes, hello. My name is Meredith Goins, and I'm the Executive Director of the World Data System, one of the founding organizations of IDW.
Simon.
And I'm Simon Hodson, Executive Director of CODATA. CODATA is the Committee on Data of the International Science Council. Like WDS, we're one of the founding organizations, and we share with WDS our origins, which is two data organizations established by the International Science Council, or as then was the International Council of Scientific Unions.
And finally, but not least, Hilary.
Hello, I'm Hilary Hanaho, and I'm the Secretary General of the Research Data Alliance.
Thank you. Okay, the next slide. So as mentioned, International Data Week is hosted by the three founding organizers and the local organizers of each host nation. The founding organizers are World Data System, the Committee on Data, and the Research Data Alliance. The local organizers for IDW 2022 are composed of a variety of academic and data-driven institutions. They include the Korea Institute of Geoscience and Mineral Resources, the Korean Institute of Oriental Medicine, the Korean Institute of Science and Technology Information, the Korea Research Institute of Standards and Science, the National Library of Korea, and finally, Sungkyunkwan University. Now, each representative from the founding organizations will introduce their own organization. So take it away, Meredith.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you to our Korean local hosts. We appreciate the support and interest in International Data Week. In addition to these local organizers and the founding organizations such as World Data System, IDW is hosted every 2 years, and the WDS's mission to support both IDW and science as a whole is to support the International Scientific Council's vision, and we promote the long-term stewardship of and universal and equitable access to quality assured scientific data and data services, products, and information across all disciplines in the natural sciences, social sciences, and humanities. And I believe next is Simon.
Yep.
Thank you. So yes, CODATA, as you can see, is the Committee on Data of the International Science Council. And as I mentioned, with WDS, we're one of the 2 data organizations established by the International Science Council, or in its previous incarnation, the International Council of Scientific Unions. Whereas WDS is a membership organization for data repositories and cares about data stewardship, CoData supports the mission of the International Science Council of advancing science as a global public good by addressing 4 strategic pillars. So we look at data policy issues. So we have an International Data Policy Committee, and we contribute to the advancement of data policy and open science policy globally. We do work on data science through our task groups and working groups. We do work on data training or education. And in that, one of the best known activities is a partnership with the Research Data Alliance on our data schools. And then finally, we have a strategic program looking at making data work for cross-domain grand challenges. And that's really how do we get access to and how do we make the data as usable as possible to address global problems and global challenges. And that's really part of the main themes of International Data Week. Over to you, Hilary.
Thank you, Simon. And so, as I said before, I represent the Research Data Alliance, which is an international community-driven initiative that looks to, with a vision, a rather complex and challenging vision, to address the grand challenges of society by enabling open sharing and reuse of data across technologies, across countries, and across disciplines. So the Research Data Alliance deals with all types of data challenges, and I suppose we could say it even goes beyond data now, but with all disciplines, all countries, and is open to all. And we do that by trying to build both the social and the technical bridges, we call them. So to work very much on creating the partnerships between people, as well as actually the technical solutions. And we, as Simon said, have worked and continue to work since our inception in 2013 with CoData and WDS. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the local organisers, and we're very excited about finally being able to come to Seoul at the end of June, so in less than a month, to meet you all and work together on these in International Data Week, and make it the start of a partnership and a collaboration between us all and with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to give you a little bit of more information about the event and the program. Meredith?
Sure. Thank you again, Jeff. Seoul, Korea will serve as our host city. And for this year's International Data Week, Seoul and the local organizers have committed a vast amount of time and resources to highlight Seoul and the research industry and K-data, and how it'll influence the next industrial revolution, if you will. I'm very excited to be traveling, and I know many of us are, to visit, and we look forward to partaking in the wonderful opportunities, not just in the data research and coming together as a community, but also as the opportunity to pass time in Seoul, Korea, to visit the museums, the national parks, and the restaurants that are available. So it's a great opportunity for both intellectual and cultural opportunities. On the next slide, we talk a little bit about what our primary theme is, and it's data to improve our world. And for IDW 2022, the focus on K-data, which I just mentioned, and data from around the world, really helps with the progression of the global technology sector. And the conference sessions, as you see in the bullet points on the screen, it'll employ one or many of these different secondary themes on top of the data to improve our world: research, transparency, and reproducibility, the data research industry, transdisciplinary research and citizen science, and empowering the enabling society using data science, and educational pieces. And then on the next slide as well, you'll see that IDW is broken down into 3 different things that come together. And this is the great part about CoData, WDS, and RDA coming together, is that we pool resources and share audiences for 3 great opportunities. We have the IDW plenaries, which you'll see, and then we also have the RDA Plenary 19, and then we have SciDataCon, which is WDS and CoData coming together. For more details, I'm going to hand it over to Simon to drill in a little further. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you very much, Meredith. So I'm going to talk now about the plenary sessions. With every conference, you'll be familiar, we often have parallel sessions for particular focus subjects, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But there are also plenary sessions where we bring the whole conference together, all the participants, to engage with the core themes of the conference. And I'm going to go through those in a little bit more detail now. Obviously, we will launch the conference, we'll open it with a plenary session and opening remarks from the organizers, from the local organizers, to whom we're very grateful, from Korean dignitaries, and from the convening international organizations. Next slide, please. So I'm going to cover now the 6 plenary sessions, and each of these addresses that overarching theme, data to improve our world, and some of those sub-themes that Meredith has mentioned. So the opening plenary session, the substantive plenary session, we really want this to set the tone for the conference. Data to improve our world, the role of data to address global challenges. And you'll recall that I've already mentioned that as one of our core themes in CoData, and it's shared by the founding organizations, and I'm sure by the Korean organizations that are hosting the conference as well. The speakers include Christopher Murray, who's an expert in health metrics. So we know that health data is one of the major challenges at the moment. Jana Gevorgian, who's the director of the Secretariat of the Group on Earth Observations, which is an intergovernmental organization for sharing Earth observation data, largely remote sensing data, and has really advanced open data sharing in that space. And also Claire Melamed, who's the director of the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data, SDG data, and was the chair a few years ago of an important UN report called A World That Counts, which was really about how we use data precisely to understand the world and how the global challenges are really important. They are a world that counts. We need to create a world that counts. That session will be dynamically chaired by Connie Nishimwere, who is a young researcher originally from Uganda, also now working in South Africa. And she's involved in one of the core programs of the International Science Council on mission-driven science. So we hope that those 3 speakers and the chair will make a dynamic and interesting session, really on that general theme of data to improve our world. Next slide, please. We've already heard the importance of research transparency, accountancy, and reproducibility. Mai-Ha Sham from the University of Hong Kong has done some very important and groundbreaking work in that area. And that session will be chaired by our colleague In-jae Lee from the Seoul National University of Education. Next slide, please. And then the 3rd plenary session, again, is one of these major themes, the state of open science globally. You might be aware that last year, UNESCO published a recommendation on open science. And this is the first major intergovernmental UN statement on open science that acts as soft law for all the signatories and will be assessed in future years. Members of UNESCO will be requested to report on how they are advancing open science in their countries. So with this plenary session, we want to survey what is going on in various geographies around the world. It will be chaired by Unjun Shin, who was one of the members of the expert advisory group to UNESCO. And it also includes our colleague from Malaysia, Norsadar Rahman, who was also a member of that expert advisory group. We've got a representative from KISTI, Dr. Choi. Siamo Mochegwe is the director of the African Open Science Platform, which will be advancing open science across the African continent. Bianca Amaro is a member of the Research Data Alliance's tab and the coordinator of the Brazilian Open Science Program. And we've got a representative from the United States in Heather Joseph, who's done a lot of work on open access and scholarly publishing. So with that panel, we will get a global view of the state of open science. Next slide, please. Now, we can't achieve open science and we can't achieve the benefits of data to improve our world without skills and training and education and capacity building. So this session will address those themes with speakers again from various localities. And that session will be wonderfully chaired by our colleague Jeff, who you've met already on this webinar. We have a speaker from the US, Jevin West, a speaker from Europe, Martin Grootveld, who's done a lot of work on data stewardship at DANCE and more widely in Europe, involved in a number of significant European projects, and Michelle Barker from Australia, who's the director of the Research Software Alliance, because capacity around software and the availability of software is an important issue to address as well as data. Next slide, please. And of course, those plenary sessions will close. I believe we might have skipped one. I thought there were 6 plenary sessions, but anyway, no, it's okay. We're missing the citizen science. There will also be a plenary session on citizen science, which will be chaired by the chair of the World Data System. So please also remember that there'll be another plenary session on citizen science and advancements in that domain. Closing plenary session to wrap up the conference, closing remarks, and of course our announcement of future International Data Week locations, and we hope that that will be very interesting to you. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to move on to give an introduction to some of the parallel sessions as part of SciDataCon. Now, we should remember that International Data Week brings together 2 conferences. On the one hand, SciDataCon, which is organized by CoData and the World Data System, and on the other hand, the Research Data Alliance Plenary Meeting, which Hilary will talk about shortly. CoData and the World Data System, we said, are 2 organizations established by the International Science Council. CoData has been organizing biennial conferences since 1968, when the World Data System International Program Office was established. The World Data System held its first conference in 2010, I believe, and then in 2012. And following that, we decided that we would essentially bring together our communities and our conference in one conference, SciDataCon. We ran that in 2014, and then with the creation of the Research Data Alliance, we decided it made sense every 2 years at least to bring together our respective communities in International Data Week. But what we do to retain the distinctive characteristics of the RDA Plenary Meeting on the one hand and the SciDataCon on the other, we combine the programs so that in any given slot, you can either attend, any given slot is dedicated to SciDataCon, and then the next slot will be dedicated to the Research Data Alliance. And you can see that on the program grid. Next slide, please. So SciDataCon, I'll just highlight the themes. The bulleted points there are our general recurring themes. And so there are a number of sessions that we have on data research in various domains, on data science and data analysis, on data stewardship, and so on. We're very pleased with the richness of the program which we're able to offer in this edition of SciDataCon. We had over 112 session proposals. We were only able to accept less than half of that. So there'll be about 50 sessions. And we think that will have an effect on the quality of the sessions and the quality of the discussion. It includes strands of sessions and particular sessions on, for example, global cooperation on fair data policies. There's at least 2 sessions on AI and reproducibility. There's a strand of activities on interoperability. How do we combine data from different sources and from different domains? And that includes sessions on vocabularies, on how we represent units. There's what we're calling the Unit Summit, which was part of SciDataCon. And something that I think is quite distinctive about SciDataCon is that we try to leverage our role in the International Science Council to look at the data issues and needs in particular domains. So there's a strand of sessions on health data. There's a number of sessions on disaster risk reduction and on data relating to the Sustainable Development Goals. Also, we have a session organized by the International Union of Psychological Sciences, the International Union of Food Science and Technology, a session on nanomaterials, and a number of sessions on biodiversity and sampling and geosciences. So if you want to understand, if you want to go beyond the generalist data stewardship issues in which we're interested, but really to understand the data issues in particular domains, then there'll be a number of sessions where you can find out about that. And if you're a researcher in those domains, you will be able to discuss those issues with your peers and share the current status of understanding of data and its role in research internationally, in domains and across research domain areas. I think that's quite enough of me, and I'll hand over next slide to Hilary for the Research Data Alliance plenary meeting.
Thank you, Simon. So as Simon mentioned, the International Data Week, of course, has these 2 components, the meeting of the waters of the SciDataCon and the Research Data Alliance meetings. I think they're quite complementary indeed, and we've found in the last 2 editions of IDW that the participants feel that way too. The Research Data Alliance has been in running since 2013, and every 6 months we have organized a plenary meeting for the Research Data Alliance community of over 12,500 data professionals from across the globe. I think we have 145 countries represented. The plenary meetings, if you like, are milestones every 6 months to advance the work of the community. And the Research Data Alliance has 3 mechanisms in which the community comes together through working groups, interest groups, and communities of practice. And they work mainly virtually, but we have traveled around the globe every 6 months to offer an opportunity for different regions or participants and attendees to also get involved and network and meet with the RDA community and become the part of the community, because it is open to all the Research Data Alliance. Obviously, since 2020, we had to cancel 2 days before our plenary meeting in Melbourne, and we have gone virtual since. So we are delighted now to do a hybrid event. So there will be in-person presence and physical presence. And on the next slide, you can see some of the themes around the Research Data Alliance. So we have over 94 active groups in terms of working and interest groups. They all focus on a specific area of activity. And they are in different stages of their life cycle. The working groups they're about 18 months long, but they are working towards a concrete deliverable. And all of the information on these is available on our website and are linked from the program too. But to help people who perhaps are not so familiar with the groups or don't understand, we have so many, some sort of navigation tool that we use are plenary pathways. And if you see those 10 different descriptions on the side there, that's more or less how we have clustered the 55, I think it is, different sessions that will take place during the Research Data Alliance plenary sessions. So they are interspersed over the program. So things like the adoption, the implementation and deployment of the fair, care and trust principles, lots of activities around data infrastructures and environments. Of course, training, stewardship, data management, planning are also areas. All of course, the full data lifecycle is covered by many of the different groups. And we have a lot of discipline-focused activities in RDA. So this is a really useful, important, I think, and beneficial opportunity for attendees to get to work together, if you like, to get involved, to understand different aspects of these data challenges. And to continue this collaboration, because the RDA groups exist now, they will continue on, and more groups will be formed. We have 14 birds of a feather sessions, which are the birds of a feather flock together. So the idea is that these are new ideas for the community and participants at the meeting or online to discuss and decide if there is a need or and a wish to progress and to work together then in a, if you like, in a more virtual and collaborative online way. We did a webinar recently quite in depth into how to get the most out of the Research Data Alliance plenary meeting at IDW. And when we circulate the slides and make them available, you can actually access the recording for that. So you will to understand more and to make the most of it. Thank you.
Hey. So as you already heard, this is one big event where 3 different events come together. So there's IDW plenary session, SciDataCon, and RDA plenary session. And you just pay 1 fee to enjoy all of these wonderful events. And there's something for everybody. So to register for IDW, you first create an account on idw22.org. Next, you complete the registration. And of course, you pay for the registration fees. And finally, you confirm your registration through Whova, which is our platform for delivering the conference. And in-person ticket fees include full online access to the 4-day conference or recordings for 8 weeks after the event. And it also includes all the, coffee breaks, lunches, the first day reception dinner, and also the last day gala and networking dinner. And it also includes delegate pack, okay? The virtual registration will include access to all IDW 2022 virtual event components, to the 4-day conference, and access to all available recordings, both video and audio, for 8 weeks after the event. The next slide, please. So the various registration fee categories are noted here. So students pay, a lot less, and people from low and middle income countries pay substantially low fees. And the early bird registration ends May 31st. So you have only a couple of days to enjoy this discounted rate. Next slide, please. You can make a payment using most credit cards. You can also send money through PayPal, and also you can do bank transfer. Payments will be, the cancellation deadline is June 12th. So that's 1 week prior to the conference. Okay. So I guess that's all we have to say. And this is where you can ask questions. The next slide, please. So if you have any questions, you can send an email to registrations@internationaldataweek.org, or you can simply visit idw2022.org for more information. Okay, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand, or you can unmute your audio and ask. You can also leave your questions in the chat window, if that's your preferred way of raising a question. So I'm curious, I see a number of people from, local, but there is one person who is, where is it? We had one Chinese person, but I guess he left. Okay. Any questions about the event, or about the registration, or about any social networking opportunities? So obviously, because of the pandemic, some people will come physically to Korea. Others will choose to stay in their own countries and participate virtually. But many officers of these founding organizations will come to Korea. So it'll be a great opportunity to come to the event and meet with those folks and build relationships. Do you have any parting remarks, Meredith, Simon, or Hillary?
I will briefly again like to thank our local host organizations and Jeff for your time and dedication to this event. I look forward to meeting everybody and having an opportunity to continue to grow.
Great.
Thanks, Jeff. I'll mention, as you mentioned, the founding organizations and their officers. CoData will be represented by our president, Baron Montz, by our Secretary General, Christine Kirkpatrick, and 2 colleagues from the Secretariat. And there'll be possibly at least one chair of our task group on disaster risk reduction, I think, is likely to travel as well. We're just running through who from the CoData community will also be there. We're very keen to meet with our local hosts. We're very grateful for the support. And I think, as Hillary said early on in the meeting as well, we see this not as the end, but as the beginning of collaboration. And something that we're particularly keen to find out is what the state of data is and data activities are in Korea and in those Korean research institutions that have been mentioned. Where are open data policies? What are we doing about data infrastructures? Where are there opportunities to collaborate for us to learn from what's going on in Korea, and vice versa? because research is global, the challenges that we face are global, and the need to mobilize data, to access data, to be able to combine data, to compare data sets from different countries to address particular issues, whether that's in population science or biodiversity or any number of the important research areas of our day. These really are global issues, and International Data Week gives us an opportunity to raise our heads to those global challenges and to collaborate across nations. And so we hope that colleagues will embrace that and take the opportunity. And we look forward to meeting you.
Thank you, Simon. Although it's not shown on the slides, there will be parallel local events hosted by some of the local organizing institutions. So, and they will be all related to some aspects of data sharing and policy. Okay, so those events are free. So, you know, if you're interested, and it'll be held on Thursday and Friday during the conference, during the event. And some of the folks from these founding organizations will stay on after the event. So there will be some networking events. Okay. Hillary, any parting shot remark?
No, but I think Simon summarized it well for us all. It's a really
Okay.
wonderful opportunity, and we hope very much to take advantage of it, because meeting in person obviously makes a big difference, and you end up discovering things and colleagues, and making one of the things that we know from the Research Data Alliance is that the networking component is quite important. So we postponed IDW and didn't run it virtually in the hope that we would be able to all meet together, and we will. Many of us will be there. We also have a number of different board members coming, and we look forward to meeting as many people as possible and starting the collaboration that we hope will continue for many years to come.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So I guess this concludes the webinar for why attend IDW 2022. And the recording will be made available with the slides. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.